Welcome to SydeCast. I am your host, Tremaine, also known as him, also known as the Decan Liangelo televangelist. This is a show about games and the people who play them. I will let everyone introduce themselves. But along with those introductions, tell me how your week was. I've been going down.
I'm going first again?
I'm not. Oh, I guess I could.
Oh, no, it's all right. I get it.
We got
a system. We got a system, yeah.
I've established.
There's one episode that has established one surefire system.
Never change from here.
Never will change.
It wasn't like it was a pilot and I just spilled liquid death on my phone, but that's fine.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right.
so yeah, Ron here again. Are you doing the AKAs?
Oh, do you want one?
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's fine. Let's go with AKA Mr. Vitamin C for the past week. So we're just talking about since our last endeavor. Well, I had like a bug, and then like I was losing my voice, so I was pounding vitamin C and drinking lots of tea. Pounding vitamin C and drinking lots of tea. But yeah, so didn't really get much done, just house stuff and hanging out with the family. We did go sled riding this weekend, took the girls sled riding, so that was fun. That was fun. I'm very sore today because I'm no longer 20. Was I sore last week? Well, last week I worked out.
Yeah.
I worked out last week. This time I climbed a hill multiple times.
Yeah, don't do it. I assumed that's what was.
Yeah.
Very, very sore.
There's a very specific muscle group.
Nah, it was good. No games. I did install Marvel Rivals this week.
I'm glad you said that. Whenever you play for the first time, text me.
Okay.
Because I also have it installed, haven't touched it.
I also have it installed and have not touched it because I'm concerned for my health.
Right. Well,
Same, actually.
I'm not concerned. Like you're talking about, like overplay.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, I used to play Overwatch, which is basically a reskinned game of Overwatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like it's just and my friends play this, and they just nonstop, just butt push. Like it's just like it is very like not. Like you're just gonna get beat up a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then especially like once you hit ranked and all that kind of stuff. I'll hit like 4 or 5 matches. Like, all right, I'm done. Like you'll end up with like a teammate, like because nobody plays the objective.
Right.
Like that's why like nobody plays the objective,
Yeah.
and like that's why it's so annoying. They're just playing TDM, and it's like, please, for the love of God, capture the point, please. But anyways, I'm still kind of excited to play it. But I was asking my buddies this week, like what characters are most like Lucio and like my favorite characters from Overwatch because they have very, very similar, characters. So that was pretty cool. I do look forward to doing that. My PC also didn't sound like it was going to melt, so I should be able to play it. Really, the only time it does that now is Destiny. So we're done. We're done. We're broken up. It's over. I'm sorry.
That's how I feel about Sweet.
Sorry, you had to find out this way.
So you had to find out this way. On YouTube, you're going to see yourself through the Destiny chatter Reddit feed, or maybe on the next TWAB. Ron broke up with you.
Yeah.
Tremaine already knew, though.
You hate to see it.
Anyways, that's what's new.
Whole thing. Hope she recovered.
Probably won't.
Gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Drew, AKA. I thought about this more.
Okay.
Yes, here we go.
AKA, and we're just gonna go backwards in time, and you'll be able to tell the time histories of these screen names effectively. Okay. So I'm Drew, AKA Drew Till Death, also known as In Your Face.
In your face. See, that's only early 2000s.
It is in fact in early 2000s.
Not early 2000s.
It is in fact early 2000s. It is a Chappelle Show reference, and specifically because once they introduced online play into Halo 2, and you could also board and take the opponent's vehicles. That is what I shouted in proximity chat the moment that their ghost was being boarded, and this was a weird week. Late last week, had some like family health scare stuff. Had to go to Akron Children's Hospital. I think everything's going to be okay. So it's seems to be on the right trajectory. I played, this will be a very large surprise, a lot of Balatro. I did play a lot of Balatro.
How'd that sleep go?
We don't talk about we don't talk about sleeping.
My bad.
They're gonna have to make some kind of like support group for lots of
Yeah, I
players.
think so.
Yeah.
I think
It's coming up.
It's coming, yeah.
I also I've been playing V Rising. It's it's like a cozy survival vampire game. So
see
like
that one.
imagine all vampire skinned, but imagine if Castlevania
Okay.
lore mixed with the coziness of Animal Crossing.
Okay.
And you got me.
Okay.
And then gave you like a narrative progression line, sort of survival mechanic game that was like a isometric third-person action adventure game like Diablo.
Sure.
So you wake up out of a coffin, a vampire with nothing, and you go and find a little area of the map that like is abandoned and covered in woods, and you basically build your vampire
Nice.
castle while you like go out at night and like hunt the local people.
Nice.
And like and so all the survival mechanics are like blood and like getting enough blood and all that sort of stuff. But then you also are kind of Van Helsing Blade-ish because you're hunting down all the descendants of Dracula
All right.
and killing them and drinking their blood and taking their powers.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Wow.
And so you got like, it's really cool.
That's a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then I
I'm
played.
into
No, go ahead.
I'm into it. No, I'm into it.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's a fun game.
Is it on Steam or
It is on Steam. Yeah, it is on Steam. But,
Steam
like,
Deck?
Yes, it does play on the Steam Deck. I am not playing it on the Steam Deck, but it is compatible.
Okay.
And then I also played like one night. I played for the first time. Got kind of talked into poking at Sons of the Forest, which is also a survival game, not cozy. Extremely
terrifying.
Antithesis of
Extremely
cozy.
uncozy. I am not a horror game person, even though I've just said V Rising and then
That's
mentioned
different.
That's very different.
Yeah.
I am not a horror game person.
You got a lot of poop pants in this game.
There's a lot of poop pants
Yeah.
in this game.
Mhm. Yeah.
I am okay though with horror games like when there's a group setting because
Yeah.
like
Yes.
because like there's a detachment of
Yeah.
like me and four of my buddies just like
Yeah.
being idiots,
Absolutely.
right?
Like zombies or something like that.
right.
My motto was
Way
never
easier.
play Silent Hill alone.
Right,
Like, I
yeah.
always had friends that
Alone
played
in
with
the
me.
dark in a silent apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, and then just bunch of shop prep stuff for the looming week that you should speak about.
I'm sure you're excited.
Oh yeah.
We're here for you, Drew.
Yeah.
I'm Rachel, and I'll do an AKA, AKA Resles91.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's my tag for everything,
Everything.
I can possibly put it on.
Oh, now people can find you.
Yep, here you go.
Just
Good
dox
luck.
yourself. I'll dox myself holistically.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually we'll put our stuff on
Yeah,
the things.
obviously.
Yeah.
If you want to add me on whatever, where I don't really post much, go for it.
Have a if you want to see the same profile that's been on my thing for 12 years.
It is all
Follow.
yours, baby.
Dude, I haven't changed my Facebook profile picture since high school.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Have no idea what they
Since MySpace, bro.
Yeah, right, for sure. No, MySpace was Rachel _the_rad_1.
We got another AK.
That's another AKA for you. Yeah.
We should have saved it.
The
I should've
underscore
saved it, man.
fam, for sure.
I'll also go back to it. Anyways, week was also weird, just like crazy stuff with like my work life, and then we had also a health scare that turned out to be like blown completely out of proportion-ish. I'm trying to be nice about it. It was blown out of proportion. But everything is also cool.
Good.
So that's all good. I am playing. This is going to come as a really big shock. It's going to be really surprising.
Snap.
The Witcher 3 remastered.
Okay.
The reason I'm playing it is because when they announced Witcher 3 being remastered, I was already in another playthrough of The Witcher 3. So like I was in the original version where there were not going to be new quests and there was no new gear yet, and so I was already playing The Witcher 3 for probably the fourth time on not Blood and Broken Bones, but the one above Death March. I was playing that on Death March. So right now I'm just playing it on an easy breezy Blood and Broken Bones.
Okay.
In comparison.
Did you pause? Like when they announced, did you pause?
Oh no, I was like I was in the Blood and Wine DLC.
Oh, okay.
So I just like
You were like finished?
I was like finishing it, and then
Okay.
I was like, I'll come back to that literally like in a year or two,
Okay.
and that's exactly what I did. So,
Okay, that's fair.
so I'm doing that, and boy, oh boy, am I just having a ball! Like because there is a lot of really new cool gear. They fixed some of the problems with some of the original Wolf gear quests.
Okay.
Like there was this issue where the gear wouldn't fire to get the whole set, so you could like piecemeal the set, but you like for the blades and stuff like that, but you couldn't trigger the main event to get the full armor if my memory is serving me correctly.
Okay.
So like that's new to me. There are some new quests that are in there to get that are also tied to the Forgotten Wolf armor, which is fun fact is the gear that Henry Cavill's wearing. Yes. So it is my favorite gear, of course. It is spicy.
Right.
It is many sexy.
Looks very nice.
It looks very nice. So that is that's what I'm doing right now. I'm still playing main quests, so I'm like in the thick of finding Siri. So that's been really fun. But
Hey
that's-
Siri.
That is what
Now she's the main protagonist of the new one, yeah?
I was going to ask you about that.
Trailers seem to have indicated, correct?
Yes.
Sick.
That has been CD's plan for a long time, was to make Siri the protagonist for this next game. So that is what is looking like it's gonna come out. I watched some interviews on that too, which is totally a sidebar, but the interviews from CD were interesting and informative, and for Witcher fans, it should be very exciting.
I think so too. I think that whole, anytime there's a strong female protagonist, there's a controversy.
Of course. Because ladies can't kill things. No,
Well,
I'm just
you know,
kidding.
yeah, and I mean, us men have had a really hard go of it. And
You haven't had any.
No heroes whatsoever.
Not a single one, really.
You keep taking things from us.
Yes.
And so, like, but I think it's really interesting because, like, from a father perspective, like you have this is a character, especially in Witcher 3, like, where they really, like, you are dad.
Oh, 100%.
Like, like you were playing as dad,
Yeah.
right? And all of it, to me, always felt in kind of service of that. And it's like, kind of to go back to our like most recent where we're talking about God of War, like it's like taking over as the kid is like a very normal video game sequel
Absolutely.
trope, right?
Sure,
like
yeah.
it's like, oh, I
100%.
was dad, right? I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2,
yeah.
right? Like that whole thing is just like, and now it's son's turn, and so it's like so bold-faced that it's just like, but why a lady?
It makes no sense. A character that's been here forever.
So it is so abundantly clear when things like that happen. It's just like, wow, could you make it any more obvious what the real problem is?
Think of what they would do if they made the Tomb Raider a male.
Nothing. We don't. Everybody'd be like, oh, cool.
All right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Where'd the polygons go?
Hi, it's
The jiggle physics.
I'm okay with the murderous on this guy. We're fine with that. He can jump off cliffs. Throwback.
So, do you think that in 20 years, Witcher 3 is running on microwaves? Like, do you think Witcher 3 is the doom of 20, of 20 years from now? Like, I got Witcher 3 running on my smart microwave.
I mean-
my Roomba can play Witcher 3.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Like,
Amazing.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
It's that or Skyrim.
Yeah, I feel like
I hacked my body phone.
Sure,
I hacked my
yes.
body phone, and I can play it on my body phone.
Yes.
No, it's going to be a pack-in for your body.
Right. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I mean, we all
Your
need.
body might slide in.
That'll be the Windows Solitaire. Gotcha.
Unfold your arm.
Right,
Put the
yeah.
arm- yeah.
Cyberpunk. Got it.
Awesome.
what
I am
I did
very
there?
excited about Witcher 4.
Yeah.
Very excited to take a look at what they do there.
Yeah.
I'm very excited
It will
about
be-
robot arms.
It will be as broken.
Robot arms,
Oh,
robot
yeah.
legs.
Oh,
Yep.
It will be broken.
Oh, for sure.
And then it'll get better.
And then it'll get better.
I mean,
Sick.
Yeah.
if I had $1 for every time that happened.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What'd you play this week?
Oh, me?
Did you already say?
Yeah, what did you do?
What'd you do?
It's never about Tremaine.
Shocking to everyone.
Okay.
Dragon Age Velka.
Okay.
However, I started my hard play. So I originally went through the story normal difficulty because I'm lame. But recently I was like,
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No, I'm mentally unwell, and so I play them on.
well, so like recently
cascading.
I've been like seeing like a lot of people like play God of War on like this harder difficulty. And I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
I haven't struggled in a while.
I haven't felt agony.
I haven't felt agony. I haven't felt pain. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
No. It's not fun.
No, not having a good time.
But I'm having a great time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I still love the
and
game.
you're
The
having a great
story
time.
is beautiful. My favorite character, Tosh. Shout out Tosh. The they them of the game.
Right
Favorite character. Love the game. However, I've died multiple times. I'm in the hundreds so far. And I'm
In just this playthrough?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
It's much harder.
Awesome.
it gets way harder, way faster. I gotta strategize.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't just go in there hacking and slashing like I was.
It's tough. It's tough life.
Jam.
Ugh, strategeries. But you know, all in all, the week has been great. Can't complain. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
We
all
made
right.
it. We're back here again.
Yeah, we're back.
7 days.
7 days.
Sick.
Episode 0 did pretty well
Yeah.
Yeah.
my
It was
understanding.
fun. Yeah.
For
It
a
was good.
pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Are we
me-
getting picked up by the network?
I have my people are talking to the network's people.
Jamie, do we know?
Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie is talking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
James
Okay.
from State Farm.
Yeah. I don't know who's the network. Is there a network
I mean,
now? There's so many networks.
I mean,
network.
the
Yeah.
network. THD
I thought we
network.
skipped into the dystopian one where we were trying to get rid of all the networks, and now we just pay all the different networks individually.
Oh,
Dear
we
Lord.
syndicated?
No, it's the reverse of that. It's whatever the one where we pay them is.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
yeah,
right,
it's
right.
that one.
We pay them in body energy. We get
In
strapped
body
into the
energy and-
machines
and
and we have to
liquid death?
move. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, the bikes.
You must keep
Oh, they're
speaking
all
to
under
power
the
our
table,
machines.
So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay.
Dealer's choice. What do you want to do? One subject is pretty much all you.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
yeah. I mean, so like in terms of what's coming up in the next week.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I am able to think about or plan for or process is prismatic evolutions, which is for the uninitiated is the next drop in the Pokemon TCG. And so the way Pokemon TCG drops sets, they drop full sets, and then in between each full set, they drop what's called a half set, or more specifically called a collector's set, right? So, like, they're numbered usually, and it's like 8, and then this will be 8.5, and then there'll be a 9 and a 9.5, so on and so forth. And the collector's set is geared towards exactly what it sounds like. It's mostly going to be like reprinted cards.
Yeah. Some new arts.
New arts. They try and make it player friendly in a way usually, which is like, hey, these are the cards that are like maybe very expensive from other sets. Here's a new
Earthen vessels.
yeah.
Earthen vessels.
Earthen vessels.
Earthen vessels.
Yeah.
Could use 40 more of those. Anyways.
Yeah, no, so I mean, like...
And they have them in Pokeball and Master Balls.
Right. Well, yeah, we can talk about that. But like, to their credit, it is usually an attempt to both make collectors happy and say, like, here's a set, like, really, really designed to, like, be collectible.
Right.
The Mew 151 set from,
Right.
you know, a little over, like, 18 months ago now was that. This is also that. This one centered around the EVs, centered around the evolutions. It's not called prismatic evolutions.
It
but-
might as
What an
well.
I
oversight.
know.
Literally missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that evolutions is like an official term.
I don't get why not.
Yeah.
A fan generated
Yeah.
term. Yeah.
Couldn't copyright it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we just did. We just copyrighted it.
Right now.
Nintendo.
Just do.
There's a button. There's a button under the
Don't do
table.
that. Don't.
We can't afford
Nobody
it.
said that. Nobody ever said
Yeah.
that.
So I mean, this set, unfortunately, also, so all of the towards their credit kind of falls apart there. And this set is really. really highlighting a lot of the, I would say, the more toxic components of like the TCG hobby. Now, this is not exclusive to Pokemon in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
Actually, Pokemon tends to be the most protected from this.
Absolutely.
So when it happens, it feels
like a
the
big deal.
starkest.
It's very egregious.
But it is happening in a way in Pokemon that I can't say has never happened before, but it has. This
is the first time post-COVID that it's been like really.
It's the first time post-COVID that it's really ever happened like this, and it's the first time it's definitely the first time in my part in like owning a local game store, been in like a game store where we've seen anything even close to this.
Yeah. Right.
And where it's, and there's a difference between this and the COVID stuff, right? The COVID stuff was like, well, people just like don't have anything else to do, so they're like all picking up new hobbies and like
Plus the supply
also
was low.
supply is down and all this
right.
sort of stuff. Where this is like there is no supply constraints, right? Outside of like they make the same amount of each set, and which is an okay thing to do. But yeah, what people are seeing, I mean, I guess the cusp of it is like two things, right? You're seeing the worst on the collecting scalping side, and then you're seeing the worst on things like allocation and accessibility from a store front, and then you're also seeing the worst behaviors like inside of the community. So it's like this kind of this trifecta of like everybody doing the wrong thing, right? From my perspective, I guess I can't condemn, anybody but from my perspective, local game stores that are purchasing stuff at a wholesale cost should be coming to the table at what is they should be setting a fair market price, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean like I think anybody who's charging anything over MSRP is holistically doing something awful or evil, right? Because there's when you have the supply and demand issues, you have to curb them one way or the other, right? Because if you just open the floodgates and charge too little market value for it, you'll be out of stock immediately, and it won't go to your community members and all that sort of stuff.
There's somebody else that'll sell it for more.
There's somebody else who'll sell for more, right? Or in our case, we've made a promise as a store to always offer stuff at that we purchase wholesale, right? At MSRP. Of course. So we have to go the opposite direction and extremely limit how many any one person can buy, right? And in either way, nobody feels great about that. We don't feel great about having to like tell people who come here and buy all their stuff from here, like, you got to go somewhere else to buy any more than this, right? At least this week, right? I would imagine that any local game stores that have close relationships with their community doesn't feel good about the other side of it, which is, hey, like, we have to charge this much for it or it'll all be out the door tomorrow. And then you guys won't be able to get any of it either way, right? Like this ensures that it stays on the shelf for longer, and then we'll decrease the price as we get closer. So like, if you can't wait, you take this now. And
makes sense.
There's no way to say it. What I will say to the choice that other stores are making, each time you put that gigantic price tag on a set, right? And you tell people, hey, this is part of the game. Right? Part of the game is when there's a set that people are hyped for, the price goes up, and in order to save it, we have to do it. You're taking a very big risk. And that risk is at the expense of someone else's hobby. It's not on the expense of us as the local game store. If I charge $140 for Prismatic Evolutions ETB, that is a $49.99 product, I have no risk. My risk is I sell it and I make 3 times what I should have made on it in the first place. But the argument would be I'm making up for all the risk I took on all those sets that are still sitting on the shelf, right? I'm making up for the risk that, all of the stuff that never went off and left, and that's how we keep our doors open, and that's how we stay open. But what happens on the other side of it is I am risking destroying a hobby for my community. Every person that sets up that might decide, from my opinion, might look at that and go, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with this hobby. I'm done playing Pokemon. I'm done being here. And so, yeah, I might, at the 20 ETBs I get, I might sell all of them on Friday at $100 more than I should have been able to sell them for, and make an extra $2,000 on what I would normally make on 20 ETBs. One time. But I also may, and those people might all be new customers that have never done that, and this is their first one. They're excited, and they're getting for it, and they're happy to pay that much because they have it. But I also may watch 5 people that have been playing this hobby for 5 years, that have been involved in this hobby 5 years, decide this is actually the set they're done with. And I'm hearing that. Like, it's not just like a hyperbolic thing. It's the amount of people that I know that buy a reasonable amount of product in each set for their collections or for their play, that are going, you know what, I'm sitting this one out, and I don't know, maybe I'll be back afterwards, and that's putting all of the risk, to me, of the future of the game and the future of the community on the shoulders of the players and the collectors, by trying to be a part of the secondary market before the secondary market even knows what it is. Right? Like, this set's not out yet. And yeah, we can watch all the videos and all that stuff and go like, oh, it's 1 in every 2,000 packs. And try and guess. But it's not out yet. We don't know how much these EVs are going to actually be worth. We don't know what the most expensive card in this set is going to be. And it's all speculative investor FOMO stuff that I don't think playing towards is for the strength of the hobby or the community or the players or anything like that. And again, I don't think that that's effectively why anybody's raising their prices. I think they're doing it because they're trying to figure out how to protect their supply and for their community effectively, and saying like, okay, well, guys, the price will go down, like, if you can wait. But I think that that's a risk that leans the other direction. The way I look at it is, I risk, being sold out next Friday, which frankly I'm probably just going to be at the allocation problems. That's what the other problem. The allocation problem that we have, I was probably going to be sold out no matter what. Whether I sold it for MSRP or I sell it at, what the market rate is, 20 ETBs is not going to last me very long. And I can just tell you that from a normal Pokemon set release.
Absolutely.
We sell way more than 20 ETBs. We are a small local game store, and we sell way more than 20 ETBs on release day.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
It's just, so that's going to happen. And then we'll have the poster product and the sticker product and all that sort of stuff. But we're only getting so much of it, and I'm not alone in this. There are, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of other local game store owners that are trying to navigate this whole situation, and everybody's getting 10 to 15% of what you have. By the time this is out, probably on Wednesday or so, a lot of people will probably be getting the notifications that their pre-orders have been canceled or postponed. Like, you'll have to wait for a restock a shipment, and so. A lot of people are in this same boat with us, and we're all navigating a really, really tough situation. And I'm not here to condemn the way anybody's trying to navigate and handle it. Except, just to be perfectly clear, except for anybody that is actively only entering into the space to make their bag and then leave during the next time. Right? I'm not condemning anybody who's been here and cares about it and saying, you know what? It'd be nice to make an extra $100 on an ETB. I'm going to flip one, right? I'm not condemning anybody that is a part of the community and actively cares about Pokemon and supports local games or local leagues or any of that stuff, making their bag on this one. It's a difficult situation in that. But if you are simply entering into the space to attempt to exploit an egregious amount of profit off of people's passions and hobbies, and you're here to do that, kindly fucking leave. Like, that's as kind as I can be about it.
Here is the door.
Because there is a limitation on my tolerance towards that.
Of course.
And because that then brings in the nastiness, that then brings in the trampling people in Costco's, that then brings in the shouting at people. And then you invite that into a community of people that don't usually act that way. They may start to act that way because they feel like that's the only way they wind up with a wall full of ETBs, right? Like, well, they see it being rewarded. They see that stuff, and they're like, well, this is how I get the stuff that I just want to open for myself and care about myself. And that stuff has a rippling effect, and so
Pokemon Fight Club?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
we don't talk about it.
We don't talk
yeah,
about
we don't talk about it. And so that's where for me, this release is really, really sad because I am actually very excited about the art in it. Instead of sitting here and talking about like how amazing the this is by far the best like set of SIRs that we've seen in a Pokemon set. Like just through like you just look at every supporter, look at every full art item card, look at everything. You're just like let's do more of this over and over and over again. This is awesome. But let's not do any of the cultural stuff that you're doing around it, right? Let's sit down and be able to talk about how fucking amazing that Dragapult card looks, or how cool it is that they've decided that all of these ancients are going to be Japanese woodblock style, and neo cyberpunk, like
Except for Gouging
all
Fire.
the ancient, Gouging Fire's not in it. This is Gouging Fire doesn't have a card in it yet. Probably because by the time they were looking at the meta to like make cards,
I
Gouging
know.
Fire
Nobody saw it coming.
nobody saw Gouging Fire coming. We'll get some Gouging Fire. We'll get some Gouging Fire.
Listen, this art is so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I don't like Roaring Moon as a deck.
No.
If I get my hand on 4 of these Roaring Moons,
Yeah.
I guarantee you I have a Roaring Moon deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
The art alone.
Guarantee.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The Roaring Moon,
The hands.
the hands is
The
cool.
hands is gorgeous.
That's a nice one.
Raging Bolt is gorgeous.
Raging Bolt's gorgeous. The Iron Valiant is so badass.
Paladin.
I want the golden go, dude.
Dude, oh yeah.
Oh,
Give me the Goldie. Just one for my deck, please.
Yeah.
I want a Papa Goldie in the Golden Go deck, please.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful set, and the art quality and the artists that have all put their time and effort in, like all of that being diminished to be like, I bet these EVs are going to be $30,000 a piece. Who fucking cares?
I'm gonna buy 75 ETBs.
Like,
controversial statement.
yeah,
I would argue. Actually, I'm not gonna argue. Eevee is like the most overrated Pokemon in my personal.
Been around for a
opinion.
long time.
yeah.
Has the card been good? You know what I'm saying? Has an Evolution card been good?
I mean, yeah, there have definitely been EV decks that have been good. There's
Over the years.
I mean 2.5 years ago, there was a dark EV like the Umbreon deck.
Yeah.
Was absolutely a staple inside of meta, for sure.
But no, like dope EV like toolbox decks where there's like multiple EVs and whatever.
We haven't seen anything quite like that. Like, oh, EV's the core, and you're gonna.
Well,
like,
that's what this
evolve.
set kind of feels like. Like they're trying to like get this, toolboxy whatever. Even though there's really like Flareon's good, Jolteon's okay, and that's about it.
I will say that might be what we're seeing in this set, right? What we might be seeing in this set is like that first like swing in for weakness, like because all of these are
I get that makes
decent attacks
Yeah.
that when you double them are very good attacks,
Yeah.
and so you could see that like this could be the one where they've kind of hit it, but
I guess I can see it.
but no,
Gotta get
I
them
mean,
first.
if you ask me, the EVs actually are the least interesting part
for
of
sure.
this set. Like, it is. There's a lot of other stuff in the SIRs. Now, I mean, I have a favorite.
Favorite?
Yeah, I got a favorite.
You have any more of those flavorets? I'll take a flavoret, please.
And I'm cool. I'm ready for more evolutions. Like I'm ready for us to. I'm ready for a dragon Eevee. I want a dragon Eevee. Give me a
shocked I
dragon
haven't
Eevee.
That would be so dope.
What would Dragon Eevee's name be?
I don't know. Dreepy.
Dreamy.
That's too close to Dreepy. It's too close to Dreepy. No, but I mean, like, I'm ready for it. Give me a ghost Eevee. What happens when
Ghost
Eevee
was
dies?
hard.
I want to know.
We'll go super hard.
But yeah, so I mean that's kind of where this set is at. And so for any of the like 70 people that might watch this, and that have
so short.
and
So don't sell us so short.
Well, I mean,
75?
on Wednesday,
80?
post on Wednesday, and then it's like people are going to start
Comes out
doing
2
their
days
thing
later.
on Friday.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying in totality, and in perpetuity carry this into other sets. Like, be kind to the people at your local game stores. Be kind to the people working at the store. You know what? And as much as I wish that these places were not as much into it, be kind to the places like Target and Walmart and all that sort of stuff.
Walmart.
Not the major corporations. Fuck the major corporations. But the people that are working there
Yes.
did
Be
not
kind.
cause this. They didn't solve this.
Yes.
They're not the ones that are telling you they're out. There's not the one. I mean, they're the ones telling you, but they're not. It's not their fault.
Right.
They just put them on the shelves, leave them alone. Yeah.
And you know what? Like, you will be okay if you get a Prismatic Evolutions ETB on the next restock.
Sure.
There's 3 more restocks coming out of this product. As 151 has taught us, they're probably going to keep drip feeding it into
Yeah.
the market for a year to come.
Right.
Only expend yourself financially as much as you can and be totally okay
Yes.
Right.
to get this stuff early and now
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. This is a hobby, and it's an awesome hobby, and Pokemon is amazing, and it brings people together across the world. It is not worth starving to death for. It is
Yes.
not worth being an insurmountable debt.
Right.
Feed your
know.
family first.
Feed yourself
Gotta
and your
feed
family
the
first.
family.
Yeah,
Pay
you know.
your house payment.
And
Rent,
don't
utilities, et cetera, et cetera.
don't let the FOMO get the better of you.
It'll be there for
because it'll be there.
Right.
We will figure out. It will be there, and as long as SydeQuest is in the game, there will be stores that are willing to sell it to you for MSRP because that's what's going on. That being said, you have to come into our store. We're not selling it online. So you gotta
Downtown
come in.
Wadsworth.
You gotta
see
come,
us.
you gotta come in and come
Big
get us.
Rainbow.
Yeah, so that's my fucking diatribe on the unfortunate nightmare that has
Yes.
been Prismatic Evolutions. Because when they announced this set, I was nothing but hype
Yeah.
for the art that was coming out,
Yeah.
and as a dream, as a Dragapult player, like I'm excited for that card. Yeah.
That'll go good in there.
Yeah.
Whoops, all dragons.
Oops, all dragons, baby.
Yes. Is there any?
Additionally,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there any cards that anyone's excited for specifically, other than just the SIRs?
see, as a player,
Yeah.
I gotta have 4 Badoos.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Badoo's with the Pokeball or Master Ball.
Yeah, I got to. But I originally kind of blew off by anything from the set.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll wait.
I was like, I'll buy an
It'll be
ETB
okay.
from the shop.
Right. I'll buy ETV from the shop. Whatever happens from going on that point forward is what happened. I'll wait to see what the price of these arts come out to afterward.
Right. Sure.
And then depending on what comes from that is how many I buy.
Yeah.
I mean, and if the pull rates are any indication of how rare these cards actually are, they'll
probably
be
gonna be
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
They're going to be expensive. There's not enough product out there. It's not dropping at a. So I mean, I'm not saying like, hey, you're getting ready to get fleeced.
Right,
These
yeah.
are probably. This is probably
Valuable
going to be
cards.
the most expensive
Oh, yeah, no,
single
sure.
Pokemon set that we've ever seen. But that's now in this moment,
Right.
in the next 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months, 4, like so. Don't bet your retirement on any of
Right.
it.
Not at all.
A lot of these guys are just going to keep it sealed too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Which will only. Yep. So,
anyways.
yeah, that's the bummer part. However, Pokemon is an awesome game. I personally love playing it.
Big fan.
There's,
I'm soft
yeah,
retired.
Yeah, you soft retired.
Still soft retired.
Are you
He's
soft
always
retired or you just
soft-retired.
broke up with Serena? Like, or does
I'm
that feel?
soft retired. I haven't built
Serena
a deck.
has
I
done
went home
damage.
from that day.
Yeah.
Every deck that is sleeved was torn apart.
Okay.
And then I sorted them and put them all away.
Oh no!
Wow, okay.
All right. All right.
Okay.
I am soft retired
Okay.
until either I get some type of motivation.
Rotation.
I don't even know about rotation. To go when we were talking about episode about cooking non-meta. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to be non-meta and have fun anymore for me.
I completely I understand
Tough,
that.
yeah.
Especially after the thrashing that my Serena Iron Hands deck got.
It was bad.
It was a bad day for me.
Yeah.
Confidence shot to the floor.
Dude lost to some guy playing Scizor.
Dog, Scissor and Monkey Dory, bro.
It was me.
That was you. You were the guy playing.
But I also lost to Monkey Dory. Not even Monkey Dory EX. It was Mimikyu EX I lost to.
Oh, God.
And I'm not okay.
Yeah.
You know?
It's tough, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough.
Rotation's going to be wild.
Rotation's going to be wild,
Rotation's gonna be wild.
and not to I mean, we can drip it in here. I think everybody at this table is a bit of a cook, or at least likes trying to play. I know Ron's big on playing as much as far as weird of an off meta deck as he
Oh,
can.
I love to just make people go, "What is
Yeah.
that?"
Why is that in your deck, dude? What are
The
you
amount
running
of
two
reactions I
Kofus
got
for?
in Baltimore is what brings me down.
Yeah.
Right.
I think at least comparatively to so as a competitive Pokemon, I've been collecting and buying Pokemon cards since they released, but and playing the game since it came out. But as a competitive player, that started when my daughter was I would like to competitively play Pokemon. Awesome. And I was like, okay, we'll figure that out. And then I started going places with her and the rest of it.
How y'all doing, Milwaukee?
So, yeah, we're going to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Nice.
See, now I was out.
Algonquin for the good lands.
Yeah.
Because I'll leave you go.
Yeah.
I'll have
Milwaukee's in May, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. I walked into my my daughter's room the other day doing some tidying up, and she's a preteen, so trying to respect space and boundaries if the door's closed. But we live in a blended family, so she spends half of her time over at her mother's house, and sometimes the room needs a
Right.
Needs a little help.
needs a little help. And so I went in to just to nudge it along, and more so to when she came back to be like, hey, sweetheart, let's do
you see how this is?
Yeah, let's get this a little bit.
Let's get back to this threshold.
While I was in there, on her art desk was a handwritten South Park stage 5 plans on how she was getting to Worlds.
Oh my God, that's
It was real amazing.
That's
it was
awesome.
really good.
She's going places.
Yeah.
See, now,
It's
Visualize.
it's plan of attack to make it to Worlds this year, and so
that's
so cool.
That's dope.
so it was really something special.
Amazing.
But
Be like her.
But yeah, so we're going to Milwaukee. I would say a point there being, I would say this meta, especially compared to the end of the V era of meta, there is a wide breadth of actually viable decks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't towards the end tail of the V era, Reggie Drago and Mew were it. But I mean, you could play a Palkia, but it wasn't. It just couldn't do what everything else could do.
Right.
You could play there were decks you could play, but it was Mew. You should have been playing you should have been playing Mew. No matter what, because just Mew it just worked, and it was
Wasn't
there.
it Genesect?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It was wild.
That was before I started playing. But
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. It was, it was the first deck Val ever played competitively. Oh, I'm just gonna not say her name and then did.
Should have just
It was
Valorant.
It was the first.
Short
It was the first deck.
YouTuber.
My eldest played competitively, it was really good. And the synergy and all that sort of stuff. That being said, when you actually look at the landscape now,
Reggie Drago is rampant right now.
yes,
But there's still many other viable decks.
there's still many other viable decks, and Reggie Drago is this. Again, we're gonna have this conversation, I think, on another episode.
Yeah, sure.
But I think what we're actually seeing now is just everybody just copies what came in first the last time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it just keeps shifting
Right.
because it was like,
Or they-
okay, well,
they
what's
counter it.
Charizard? And then
Right,
it was
yeah.
and then it was Bolt, and then it was,
Yeah.
and it's just like, but the fact that it can switch through,
Yeah.
the fact that like
Yeah.
it really does lead to what I think we all believe at our core, which we'll get to in another episode. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So now, to go from there,
Ooh.
Rick, I'm gonna let you take lead on this. This is your idea.
Oh, okay.
Gamers and nerds, cozy gaming, gatekeeping, etc., etc.
Yeah, well, I think what I wanted to like really drive home is, let me just pause. I think everybody in some way or another has experienced like the gatekeeping vibe in this culture. And what I mean by that is I know more than you,
Yeah.
and because of whatever asinine reason this person has formulated, and by extension, I'm superior to you in my hobby, which has been, and I mean, I have my reasons to believe that why that has been a lot of my experience.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with my biological makeup. But I think that people on the whole experience this of this is supposed to be in my world, in my mind, in my perfect little my perfect little universe in my brain. This space where we talk about games on the whole, or we talk about any kind of hobby that we're passionate about, should be this thing where like literally a round table where we can all talk and enjoy a conversation about the things
Indeed.
that we like to do.
Yep.
Indeed.
Right? And so what I've found from the time that I started collecting Pokemon cards and playing Pokemon on Game Boy and picking up video games or having an interest in things that people categorize as nerdy, you would try to find companionship amongst those other people, right? And somehow we got lost in the sauce along the way here of like, well, I'm a more superior XYZ fan because I've played this game for 3 months longer than you. And so everything that you think about your hobby is wrong. And what I wanted to make abundantly clear is that like, I feel like we do a really good job of not being like that in this space as a group of people that are community. And I mean, because I'll level with you, like as a girl who walks into a room full of guys to play in an event,
Sure.
you pause.
Yeah.
Like you look around and go, is anybody gonna be nice to me?
Right.
Right? And like, but I think that that's a universal experience for anybody who's new at anything.
Sure. Yeah.
To a certain degree, right? That like, well, I'm the brand new person to play Pokemon today, or I'm the brand new person learning Lorcana, and I'm showing up to this event, and holy shit, everybody knows what they're doing, and I don't. And so like, what I guess what I wanted to dive into a little bit is like, how do we curb that, right?
Yeah.
Like, what can we do other than some of the things that I know we do as a group, right? But like, where does the buck stop with this culture issue? Because it's fascinating to me that in a universe wherein we probably all, for the most part, feel a little bit outcasty as it is, being quote unquote nerds, then we just try to like whip out our metaphorical whatever to show how much more better we are than somebody else in the space where we're supposed to be all friends, right? Isn't that, it's just so fascinating to me that is a culture that has somehow still been created in a space where we're all supposed to be kind of like the weird kids that hang out together, right?
Yeah.
Right. I still feel that too. I mean,
so-
even like liking Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, if I'm talking to another adult that is outside of our circles,
Yeah.
and I bring up the word Pokemon, like it's
Right.
sometimes I feel uncomfortable, even though like I'm still I'm confident and I really don't care what they think.
Sure.
You know, so it's like, but still, I still have that thing in the back of my brain that's like, should I talk about this right now with this other 35 or 36-year-old? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, but most of the time it's received well anyways, but still, it's always there. It's that whatever. But coming here, like, because I started in May,
Right.
so that was like, and that was my first time playing Pokemon. And, again, the community was very accepting. But again, I came here for the first time and I was like, wow, everyone's closer to my age than I thought. I thought I was going to come into this thing and everyone was going to be 12.
Yeah.
Right.
So they weren't. There are 12-year-olds. But still, like, it was very accepting and very great. And I do love this community here. But, like, still, on that point, like, there's still that kind of weird bit, like, where I feel uncomfortable, I guess. I mean, whatever.
Well, I mean, I think
Kids game, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, like, I not to go too far off topic immediately, but like, I don't know. Is it like what does it mean to be something for kids versus not something for kids? I think being inclusive of children or kids doesn't make something explicitly for kids.
Right.
Is the other side like
They have cute pictures on them.
Yeah, like
For the kids.
one of the and I'm not saying like it's Pokemon's for adult. I'm not saying that. Like Pokemon,
they have words
I think Pokemon's
for adults.
everyone is really what I'm trying to say there.
There's
but
math
like,
for adults, too.
there is math for adults.
Yeah.
But like, I think it is one of those spaces that like is inherently attractive to people that consider themselves or find themselves or have found themselves in outcasts. Anything nerd culture always has. I mean, we're living in a different time, right?
Sure.
Like, I think even like the 21 Jump Street remake like riffed on this in a pretty heavy way, right?
Right.
Like Channing Tatum's version was like a high school jock, and
Yeah.
he was expecting to go back to high school and be the popular
Single
one.
strap it,
and-
dude. Single strap it.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, I do think the culture shift, right? A post-MCU world really, I think has changed, like, how outcast-ish people are.
It's come closer to center, yeah.
Yeah. I personally, like, I am very, very rigidly an omnivert. Like, I am not an introvert. If you lock me in a room by myself for more than 3 days, I will go insane. Like, I will absolutely go insane.
Good to know. Put that in your Batman log.
Yeah.
Lock them in.
My Doom protocol.
Yeah. If you put me in a room full of people that I do not know, I will recede to a room by myself as quickly as possible. Right? And like
Give me
that.
that little meme.
Yeah. Like
Homer in the bushes.
I do not find the latter energizing, and I do not find the former energizing in equally the same ways. Right? My sweet spot is a small group of, and that can change, but a small group of like people that I have something in common with that I can like be myself around, right? My very quirky, passionate, like, let me talk to you about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 47 hours.
46.
46,
47. It's got to be 47. And that's important because,
The number 47 in Ninja Turtle.
so I understand that, like, immediately walking into a room where you know nobody, I get that initial feeling, right? Where it's like, oh, this is a room filled with people I don't know.
Right.
Where's the corner?
Right.
Right?
And they do know more than you about the stuff that you're about to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I get that, anytime I'm in a new city going to a hardcore show, like anytime, and anytime that happens, I feel that exact same feeling. I suspect my perspective is probably not as harsh as like just to be completely transparent as either of yours, because in America the majority of rooms I walk into is going to be people that are look like me. And so I immediately have that representation component of being able to go like, okay, I don't know any of these people, and I might want to punch them all in the mouth,
Right.
but like
We've got the same beard.
but we, but like and I think that goes to why that matters. I think that's why having diverse communities matter and promoting that diversity, like not as a fucking token thing, but like as making something a safe space where anybody can walk into and go, actually, that stuff like is a part of what we are, not like it's really hard to like put out there and do, like you were saying, like to pinpoint, right? Like what is it that we're doing, and so and then when we talk about the question of like what makes it so prone to being that thing that we're all trying to escape from. I mean, you can be like oversimplified of it in a way that I do think there is actually weight, which is like hurt people. And I do think that there's a huge component of this that is that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I know, especially in like my young years, like as like a nerdy punk kid, that like no matter which way I turned was getting made fun of, right? Like if I was in like if I was in normal school, right, I was getting made fun of being both a nerd and a punk, right? If I was in the punk environment, that wasn't like being nerdy was not as promoted, and being young and in that space, that like talk about having a fucking chip on my shoulder, it was there, right? And then in the nerdy space, I got less of it, probably the least amount of it, but I think that was from a position of privilege because, like I said, like I looked like most of the nerds that thing until I started like talking about music and stuff like that. And I was like, we don't give a shit about that, right? And that's okay, right? Like you don't have to, I super don't need my group of friends or my people to like all of the things I like because
it doesn't have to be an echo chamber.
Because that would put me in a room by myself. Like if I was like, everybody that is I'm friends with has to agree with me 100%, it would be Drew in the corner, just like being like, we should overthrow the government. Just me and you, Drew.
Yeah, Drew. Yeah, always.
I'm like, no
and
one's
like-
there.
And so like, but man, my tinfoil suit would be really cool.
It would be really nice. It'd be nice.
But like, yeah, I think the not what word I'm looking for, the proclivity, the tendency, like the tendency to start gatekeeping in something that you do have a position of power in, right? Like being a known is just like an echo from being powerless or feeling powerless. In your other things in the places where you're not, and that I'm not saying that it's okay to do it because it's not. It's just it feels just as bad for everybody around you as it does for you when you are not in that position of power.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like the more fringe you get too, like the further towards the outside. Like I feel like I've felt like this like towards people that watch anime.
Sure.
So like I'm newer into it, and I've watched lots of the beginner anime, like whatever. So, but I feel like the people that are all the way into like I've seen every episode, I've read every manga and anime, like just whatever. I feel like there's a lot of gatekeepiness there, but I think it's anything that's that, like if you are so deep into something and you know so much about this genre, this like whatever, it can happen in music, it can happen in whatever, like you become that like super knowledge bug, and then nobody wants to hang out with you because you just, I know everything, I know all, but
So, to kind of piggyback on Drew, as you said, like knowledge is power, and like these group nerds, gamers, et cetera, have all kind of been used to being powerless. And it's easy to turn the knowledge you have malicious, and you don't even mean to be malicious.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, I have, in so many different interactions in my life, felt myself making somebody feel uncomfortable in the way that I ask, like, oh my God, you've never seen blank, or you've never done blank, or you've never done this.
how did you not notice that?
Well, no, and just to be honest, like I don't think I'm using any language like that. It's literally just the aggressiveness at which I come and be like,
You're excited.
You've never watched Cowboy Bebop, and it's like I'm not mad at you about it. I'm stoked to start. I want to
Let me
load
get
you
you
into
into
my
this.
vehicle and drive you to my house and watch Cowboy Bebop with
Do
you.
you like corgis?
But that energy, like, it's a very thin line, right? Because then the next thing, the very next thing is like, how could you not have?
Right. Yes.
And
right.
and it's just one step
one
away
step
from it, and so like I can see how that happens. Like I've been like right to that
Yeah.
line and been like, oh wait, I'm so sorry. Like I don't mean this like as in like there's anything wrong with you because you haven't. I have to like start walking myself
walk back.
back. Like I'm just like surprised and excited
Yep.
about this like thing that I
You
think
get to
you're gonna
experience
love.
something for the
Right.
first time.
Yeah,
I love experiencing stuff, like watching my friends experience something.
Yeah.
That's the big thing too. Especially if I know that they'll love it, right?
Right.
So it's like you gotta watch it, dude. You gotta watch it. But you gotta. And then they watch it like, dude, I love it. It was so good. Let's talk about it some
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I think that maybe, like, if I could, and I don't know the answer to this question, but if I could pinpoint what the difference is in between the community that we've cultivated here and something that goes the other direction, it's equal levels of passion, right? Like, it is equal levels of passion. You're going right to that passion line. And this one wants to share it with you, and this one wants to keep it for themselves.
Yes. Okay.
Right? And I mean it's called gatekeeping for a reason,
Right.
right? Because it acts like there's something inside of the gate that they're wanting to let you into and share you. But actually the gate's just there. Like they're just in front of the gate of it's their gate of their property, of their stuff, and you're actually not allowed in.
Right.
Like and maybe the people that look exactly like them, or the few group of people that like, the 4 people that like are gonna think and do and act precisely like them in all situations are allowed into the gate for a little while.
For a little small amount of time.
But I think that's the difference. I think like the people that like you were saying you are, like I want to share this with you because I am so excited. Like the amount of times I have fired off a text message to my friends and been like, "Have you watched yet?"
Right, yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah," and then it's just like phone call, and then it's an hour and 45 minutes later. Like I don't know how many of those different threads I have, and shout out to Jared Oldham, one of my nearest, dearest, closest friends,
Shout out.
who is always willing to engage with my bullshit on on that level. Always, it's whether it's Star Wars or DC stuff or Marvel. It's just like, probably as close to that like mirrored person as I can. We have actually very different personalities, but like in terms of good,
you won't forget which one's who. You drew? You drew?
the world couldn't contain two, but like there is something so connective and like in extremely dark times in my life, being able to like connect on that superficial stuff allowed me also to like be very vulnerable with Jared and like talk about really difficult stuff and like that is because I think of that shared thing, right? Like it was never a desire to like check whether or not I was punk enough or whether or not I was nerdy enough to be his friend.
Right, yeah.
It was always just like, I want to show you this cool thing, right?
So that we could talk about it and then we could send memes about it together, and then we could, we could quote it when we need to quote it, and then we'll only know what we're talking about. Nobody else will.
Inside jokes are another weird one though. Yeah. That's tough. Like, right? Like an inside joke can feel gatekeepy to somebody who's new to a thing.
True.
I've had to navigate that before. And actually something that I've put a lot of thought in for the community that we're building here as and if that begins to form, because I've had like loose community friend groups, and where everybody's not best friends, but they're all in on the joke.
Right, sure.
And then new people come in and I'm like, what are you guys speaking of?
That's like
Different
Tom.
language?
Tom.
Is there an annex?
Right.
Tom is the inside joke.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is. I just say it.
Oh, it's just every time somebody plays Rotom.
Oh, okay.
Tom.
I do know what it is. Okay, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Tom is the
Nice. Very
It's
good.
when he ever in trouble.
Cool.
Then when he's in trouble, it's Thomas.
Thomas. Mad Tom.
Mad Thomas.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
But that's
But I mean,
I started that one.
yeah.
Not the-
You sure did. You sure did.
I miss my
Hair
long
flip,
hair so
yeah.
much. I miss my long hair so much.
Grow it back.
I'm waiting. It's almost there.
We'll
It's
accept
not
it.
almost there, but
It's. I was gonna say it is not. It's not almost.
It's not anywhere near to where it was.
last year.
You better learn some kind of smell or something.
Oh, dude, if I could do magic.
That's
I
empty.
can, that is empty. It's
think-
almost like I've been nervous drinking this whole time.
You good? Will you take it away from you? My dad used to always take my
I would
drinks away
hate
every
to
time I
be.
spilled them.
I would hate to be embarrassed and like pick up an empty can. So
All right, I'll take that
hold
from
on
you.
to that for me. I do appreciate it.
Okay, all right, I got it.
Now that it's been established that empty
Yeah.
can,
People are just watching for the next 45 minutes. Jermaine, that was empty like 45 minutes ago. I actively know.
I'm drinking the
It's-
empty can.
It's not the Conan O'Brien empty coffee mug
Right.
that's always
It's
there,
like-
right? It's like it's
it's been established now. We heard the
It's
noise.
in the lore.
But yeah, I would say to kind of go further into it like I, for example, moved around a lot. I didn't have like best friend in first grade to now, you know what I'm saying? And I grew up black nerd. My family was very supportive, but the schools I went to weren't.
Yeah.
So tough, man.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So going along, graduated high school, still don't have like a bestie essentially. Moved to Wadsworth with my girlfriend, found this store. Now I have adult friends. Adult friends over shared interests, which feels great.
Yeah.
It's all about, and I think it's not necessarily an answer to your question.
Yeah.
But I think there will always be safety in safe havens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, obviously, you go to an event, you're not gonna know X amount of people.
Right.
But let's say you go to an event with the friends you know, it definitely gets easier and safer, and it's easier to come out that shell when you're around people who know how to break it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I am thankful for the shop for that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean I was thinking about what you were saying about like the how the like the energy and excitement can go like into different directions between like wanting to keep it versus wanting to actually be like, let me tell you everything. And so I think what my experience has been that is like in my adult part of my life now where I am still maintaining these same, like on some level, these same interests that I've had since I was like itty bitty on the playground with my friends, right? Like pretending to be the Power Rangers level, right?
I still pretend.
I love that for you. I really do. But like, for me, I've always felt like a witch over a cauldron. Like, let me show you all my potions, children. Because I want to give you everything that I think is so fun and exciting. And it's this really interesting line of the way that we do that. I think like some of my really weird experiences have been, let me tell you all about this without even asking, do you know about this?
Right.
Right. And so like, I'm just steamrolled and at like, by the time that 15 minutes of somebody else doing their cauldron brewing is over, I'm like, yeah, I have the same cauldron.
Yeah.
And we could totally be talking about the cauldron and how excited we both are about this cauldron. But you don't know that I have the cauldron, right? You know, and so like I think that's one of the things that is the sticky wicket of like how excited you are about something, right? Is like creating the conversation and not info dumping. And I think that's where it gets weird, right? It's like because you're so passionate and you want to just like, listen to this stuff. And then the person might be like, oh my God, I've known for half an hour what the fuck you're talking about. Jesus. And so like I think that's part of the building relationships piece, right? Is that like when you can sense like, oh, we're gonna get into a really good conversation about this versus I guess I'll listen to your sermon.
I'll listen to your TED Talk as well.
Right, and so I think that's what we do. I think that's what, like, for me, some of the more lasting relationships, to your point, in this little community have been is like I can say, hey, have you seen this? And somebody else will be like, yeah, I saw it. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
And it does allow for those deeper connections because you can get talking about something and be like, actually, it reminded me of this other thing in my life that happened that's so real, and it can create those things. But yeah, I think that's where it's like, how do you build the relationship and not create like scary, holy shit, this guy just or this girl just talked to me for like 45 minutes and whatever. And those interactions are going to happen.
Sure.
But the question is like, is it every time? Right. Every time, like you sit down and Drew's gonna fucking talk to me about for 47 hours. Here he goes again. But I'm just kidding.
No.
But,
I mean,
but like I think that's the thing of it is like, how do we continue to create relationships where we talk
Right, sure.
and not just
Well, I think awareness is
to
part
each
of the
other.
piece too. I mean, just us talking about this now, and like Drew bringing that up, and we kind of talking through it, I'm like, oh shit, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Because like I get it, because I mean ADHD and like my brain's going 1,000 miles a minute, and I get so excited and want to just talk about stuff and just and now I'm like, oh okay, that's. I mean I don't feel bad about it, but like now I'm aware of the line.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, oh shit. Okay, wait. Are you into this?
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh no. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right here. We're good.
Yeah.
What are you into?
right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, there is a social cues component of it. There is like a, what is the term brain spice? Like that people are like, what? Yeah, like
How spicy is the
how
brain?
spicy how spicy your brain might particularly be. I mean, for me, like there is a sometimes difficult moment for me to go like, oh shit, like. I like you didn't care. You're
gone.
I can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell. I look up and there's an empty chair. Oh.
Well, it's not that. It's
Clint
like
Eastwood. Is that you?
a lot of it is like people who know me introduce me to a new partner, and they're like, "Oh, I heard you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles," and all they wanted to tell me was that like their nephew likes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I think I know all four.
And I'm like, have you read the first series of the IDW relaunch and why it's so important and what it changes about the
Do you know the last Ronin?
You know, they all started with red masks.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the trigger. For those that are uninitiated that don't know, I have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tattooed on my arm. They do all have
You're
red masks.
literally wearing a sweatshirt.
I'm also wearing a sweatshirt, and I had a real life coming to Jesus moment in my own life where I was like, I have the Teenage Mutant Turtles tattooed on my body. Do I need graphic T-shirts that also indicate that I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yes.
Yes.
And I decided in that moment that yes was the
Yes,
answer.
that is the answer.
But
Clearly.
yeah, I did. Clearly, I did. One of my favorite Christmas gifts was a Rancid, the punk band Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover shirt that just it says Turtles and then it says call Domino's Pizza and instead of the Domino's will fall. Like realizing that like for instance, still to this day happens in this shop, like a child will go like, why is Donatello's mask red? And I have to like
Summon the powers.
no, it's not like an anger thing. It's true, and trust me, plenty of things in my life are an anger thing. But this one is like, I have to not talk to this kid for the next 45 minutes about why Donatello's mask is red. Whatever that kid is saying to me next is not happening because every fiber in my body is going, do not talk to this kid about the next 45 minutes about why Donatello's mask is red. Do not talk. And so
They won't care.
well, it's just like it's figuring that social cue out. Frankly, just through failure.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
Yeah.
I have failed at that so many times that I know like that's second date material. My wife fortunately didn't ask me about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on my first date, but if she had, we probably wouldn't be married.
You were wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
I wasn't. I wasn't. It was
But she didn't ask. Okay, she didn't ask. That's good.
Yeah, she was probably new. She just probably, she was like, if I ask this dude, we're talking about it for the next 6 hours.
She cued into that.
Yeah. I asked him about punk music 3 hours ago, and he hasn't stopped talking. But I think that it's a minefield to navigate, like as individuals for sure, as passionate individuals, and that line is sometimes blurry.
Yeah.
It just sometimes is. I think intent comes down to what actually makes, even though the act, like, it doesn't undo how the action feels for whoever's recipient. Like my excitement of going like, holy shit, you've never listened to this album, or holy shit, you've never watched this movie, or whatever it may be, or like, oh my god, you've never played this Pokemon game. It doesn't change the fact that I might feel hyper aggressive on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that like I don't sit in a room by myself is because anybody knows like after like my intent is truly there, and I will usually walk back from it and be like, I just want to really like actually let's like go try and find a copy of that right now so you can have it, and or I'll actually
You can have mine.
Actually,
Here's
next
mine.
time,
Here's mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Take it home, bring it back.
I mean, my very not nerdy brother-in-law asked me about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the last time he was just like, he asked like something about the comics, and he absolutely drove home with the first 6 volumes of the comic. And like I know he was just being nice to me.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that he was just in.
I promise I'll read 'em.
Being but like he's also about to have a kid. He's gonna have that weird early kid. Like you can't go do anything. It's time to pick up a new hobby. And I was just like, these can sit on your nightstand, and like I don't give a shit if I don't give them back for the next 6 years. But you asked, and hopefully maybe you find something cool in here that you're.
I'll take first it in.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer, but that's what it feels like the answer is to me.
Yeah.
That's.
I think that makes. Oh, go ahead, Tremaine.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, there's no answer.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? People suck sometimes.
Yeah.
Whether they
it's a
have good
combination.
intentions or not.
Yeah.
It just be like that. I think,
Everybody's different.
unfortunately, that's just the way life goes.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not like we're going to solve the world's problems here,
Yeah.
but I do think that
We're not.
Oh, I'm so sorry to disappoint you.
I mean, go ahead.
I have a list upstairs though that we can move on to after this.
Okay, got it.
I
important
think
work.
I think it's an important question, regardless, to be thinking about, just to refresh oneself, to be intentional, because I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't info dump on my wife on date probably 1. Right? So like, it's not that I have the answer, or that there is an inherent one answer. I think it's important that we continue to ask ourselves the question.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to promote like masking. It's going to sound like I'm promoting masking here, just to be clear, but that's not actually what I'm trying to say. No. But I have formed in my many, many years of making those errors like a mental tiered system, right? That like tries to let me go like, I'm gonna open up this much, and then I'll open up this much, and then I'll open up this much, and not really from too much of a protect. I'm sure there's a protective element of it. I'm sure there is, but I'm never thinking about it that realm of that realm. It's always more so just like, I don't want to overwhelm somebody or push somebody away from these things that I'm trying to share with them.
Right.
And again, it's because that passion is all the way up into that line.
Right.
And
Emotional gatekeeping.
Well, how can I not be
Reverse emotional
unbearable in sharing this passion with you?
Right.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and,
like-
well, and what I think,
You're slowly turning the power up. They're handling it.
Yeah.
They're taking it.
Oh, too far, they broke.
1.21 gigawatts.
well, and you know what? And like, as we're live thinking about this, and like, this is not something that I've ever thought about until this moment. When we talk about, so if this is nonsense, that's my precursor to this. If this, I may decide this is nonsense
that's
as it's coming out of
yeah.
my mouth. As you come up to that line, and you have this intentional and then you have this other one that we've not really talked too much or worried too much about, which is this intentional gatekeeping, this desire to keep it to yourself. maybe the same things that formed me, this tiered system, right? Which is a fear of overwhelming you and then you going away. Right? Is actually the exact same thing that is fueling the gatekeeping, which is a fear of, if I let you in here, you'll ruin it.
And you will reject me.
The exact same way that you ruin everything for me outside there. When I go outside these doors and I'm not in my safe space, there's a punk band called Bane that has an extremely important lyric right along these lines, and I am quoting it for everybody that gets it, just so you don't call me and be like, he acted like that was an important thing. But like inside these four walls, I am home, right? Like, and like, I can get somebody being like, how don't you won't come in here and fuck this up for me.
Yeah.
From a fear place.
Sure.
Yeah.
And actually doing the exact opposite of what they want to, which is like shitting where they eat in the first place. You know, and as I'm like, I don't think that the things that has made me go like, all right, we'll give them tier 1 Drew, then tier 2 Drew, then tier 3 Drew, and then, all right, are you ready to go to my TED Talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and why it's a spiritual movement, right? Versus like, okay, name 3 songs. Right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, cool. Like, yeah, all right,
sure
cool.
you-
Yeah,
sure,
sure, you like them? Oh, you like Pokemon? What's your favorite Pokemon? And it better not be one of the Gen 1 starters, you loser. Right? You know, like, I think that it actually might be the exact same thing.
very well
like
could be.
fueling both of this.
It very well could be.
I agree. Because, like, to use a small story, you ever heard of the show Snowfall?
No.
I
So-
mean, it sounds
I've heard of
familiar,
it.
but yeah.
It was an FX original, essentially about like the crack epidemic in like the 80s,
Okay.
80s, 90s.
Okay.
Big fan of it. It had like 3 seasons on Hulu.
Crack or the show?
I didn't know there were seasons of crack. But
No, you said you were a big fan, and I just wanted to make sure that you weren't actually a big fan of the crack
show.
epidemic. Okay, just
That's how I found out I had a crack problem. Don't worry about it.
The show did it.
But I was a big fan of the show, and I knew my mom would like it.
okay.
But I was like, as soon as I share it, I'm not gonna like it anymore. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
And it was like, I wouldn't call it gatekeeping per se.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm willing to give this up
Sure.
for you to have
I
something.
love you.
Okay.
Because like, I'm not good at sharing TV shows. You know, like Dexter,
Okay.
shared it with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Don't watch it anymore.
Okay.
House of Lies, starring Don Cheadle, the greatest of all time.
Okay.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Shared it with my girlfriend. Haven't watched it since.
Okay.
Okay.
It just, I don't know.
They just have to live with you, or like I mean, I started watching Day to Day because of you. I'm not gonna ruin it for you.
I mean, I haven't watched it since I told you about it, but like,
And I'm never gonna watch it again.
Bro, you haven't
However,
You haven't finished the season.
actually, I did.
Okay, all right, got it. Thank you.
But it's, I don't know if it's in the same lines as gatekeeping. It just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure,
So like,
sure.
that is interesting.
here's this for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go look for something else.
Well, you got what you wanted out of it.
Right. I think that's, it's like,
You squeezed the juice.
I squeeze the juice out of it for
Got
me, but as soon as I share it, I'm not gonna want it anymore.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And like,
It's not like a.
I can see it for TV though.
I
going.
also called it Death Clocklips, but there's that scene in Metalocalypse. There's that scene in Metalocalypse, the Adult Swim show that where they go back to wherever Squizgar's from or something, and they go into like this small little local like death metal record store. It's just like this dude and a thing and like 6 records behind him. That's like the whole store. And you know what I'm talking
I know
about?
what you're talking about. Yeah,
And he
yeah.
like he plays this band for him. And it's like a perfect scene about gatekeeping. And he plays this band for him, and he goes, "Do you like it?" And he goes, and he's like, "I don't. It's pretty good." And he goes, "Then I hate it." and that's the whole he's waiting to determine whether or not anybody else thinks it's cool, and then he's so contrarian that he's like, and he's like, he shows it to him explicitly saying this is the best record we have in this store, and then he shows it to him and he likes it, and he's like, that it's shit, right? And it's not that, right? Do you think Dexter is a bad show now?
Yes, actually.
Oh my God! It is exactly like that.
That is exactly what it is.
So it's like a heavy contrarian streak.
Yeah,
somewhere.
as soon as I share it, I will tear it apart.
Okay.
That's fascinating.
Interesting.
Might be crazy.
You're a
No,
vampire,
it's
I think is
just
what
very
it is. You're like a video movie vampire.
Yeah.
Just suck it out. It's like, I'm done with you. You'll enjoy this.
You can have that.
Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting because what happens if when you're organically meeting other people that found it on their own? Do you abandon those things at the same time?
I haven't experienced.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, we both discovered that we have an enormous part of our musical Venn diagram that is the
I still
same.
very much listen to Run the Jewels.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because I've been listening to them.
Yeah, but I've been listening.
You've
to them
also
too.
been listening
So that's
to
what
them.
I'm saying. So,
Can't do nothing about
They're
that.
on my workout plan.
but if you had told me to listen to Run the Jewels, and then I came back the next weekend and I was
I've listened to the whole discography.
dude, it's fucking phenomenal.
I'd
You're
be
right.
Damn, that's
Man, I can't believe that I have to delete
gotta
all
give
of
it up.
Go ahead and delete those.
All gotta
man.
go.
Burn it down.
We're gonna have to help you through this, Tremaine.
Yeah.
You know, it's a problem. You know, it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's I just have an in general problem with sharing, which I didn't think I did until I just thought about this out loud.
Well, maybe that means that we're on to something with this feeling component of it, right? Because you've never presented it as gatekeeping inside of the community at all.
Yeah.
No.
Especially with your cook thing and being hey, let me show you this deck that I built,
I did. Not to go back, I know I said I was retired.
Yeah.
But I did try to build a Doug Trio deck.
Okay.
A Lowland Doug Trio, the one where if you have less than
the
3
3 cards.
yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's too weak. It's way too weak.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation. But I think I don't know what it is about it. Would love to talk to my therapist about it.
Well, I would say that whatever it is, I think we're obviously striking a chord at it, but it's not the same as gatekeeping because you're also the person that has gone out and picked people up so they could make it here on Pokemon Day and stuff
Right.
you're not actively trying to make sure that no one
I'm not
comes
trying
into
to
your space.
I'm not trying to tear down the community.
No.
Right, no.
Just
not at
hate
all.
sharing TV shows.
Yeah. But there's something just to be very clear, I also have a very contrarian, intuitive, I empathize and sympathize with that dude behind that counter because the moment something becomes popular, my instinct is to go, I hate it.
I didn't eat Chipotle for 6 years. Just that everyone was so into it. I was like, ooh, that place. I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't eat it just because everybody loved it so much I wouldn't eat it. And it's so good.
And I'll be honest with you, I had
Weird
to
guy.
literally grow out of it.
Same.
You're talking about, I came to punk rock through skating and video games, which means I had early onset to what people call sometimes skate punk. Some bands moved into the pop punk realm, but this is gonna sound like I liked them before it was cool. I got to see Blink-182 in a 900 person venue before Enema of the State ever dropped, right?
Yeah.
And then it became Enema of the State, and then I saw other punks around me being I wanted to identify and glom onto this punk thing, and they're well, Blink-182 sucks, man. They're a pop punk band and all this sort of stuff. Even though they had roots, they had records for years that nobody gave a shit about, and now they're just
Sold
hitting
out,
it
man.
big, right? And I followed that path. I was like, yeah, fuck Blink-182. I don't care. Like, it's not a thing. Fuck Green Day. Fuck, like all these bands. And it's like, Rancid's real punk, but Green Day's not, right?
Yep.
And Rancid's releasing major albums that are they're just not as they're not as pop. And I go back and listen to it now, and I listen to all of it, and I unabashedly love all of that stuff as heavy as my music tastes evolved, and as much as I got into much heavier stuff than that. All that stuff is still really wonderful music that brings me a lot of joy. And I listen to like Blink-182 and Rancid, and I try and quantify what at that point in time really made them that different. What it's not the na-na-nas because fucking Rancid's got them too, right? Like it's not.
Was it the music videos?
Yeah, was it? I think it was the perceived lack of success, right? I think it was it was just simply we're punks. We're not into things that are popular.
Right.
We're not into seeing the things that we like become popular. It was that like deep-seated contrarian thing. And it was that like, I don't want to share it with you because you might ruin it if I do. If I do, that goes then. And this is the part that you're saying you do, so you can just have it, right?
Yeah.
You can have Blink-182 because they fucking suck,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But they didn't suck. They didn't suck anymore. I mean, it's okay if you think Blink-182 sucks. I don't care.
Right, yeah.
Like on
You're allowed to have opinions.
Yeah,
Allowed to have
super allowed to have opinions. I just mean like I can't go from I liked this thing to I now hate this thing because it became popular or because it became thing.
Yeah.
Now it might evolve in its search for popularity that makes it something that is not for me. Or maybe it's not even a search for popularity. Maybe it's the artistic vision of the way the people that are in it want to take it for that time period. That's okay too. I experience a lot of that with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I experience a lot of the weird gatekeeping that happens inside of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fandom community because of it, right?
Yeah.
These guys are idiot. Like, oh, this one sucks. This isn't just like mine.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you ever actually gone back and watched the cartoon?
Yeah.
I love it. It's not fucking good. It's not good. But it was endearing to you. It exposed you to something, and then there is lots of stuff that along the way has been good, and lots of stuff that maybe is not for you, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like it was a personal evolution to be able to take a step back and go, it's okay to like what I like, regardless of who else likes it. Until maybe people that like I'm diametrically opposed to existing like it. Like, I mean, if all of a sudden, some like white supremacists or something would start being around something, I'd have to be like, what do you see in this that you like? Because if it's anything that's actually that I'm missing, I gotta take a step back.
Start seeing a weird correlation between Ku Klux Klan and Donatello. It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Don't speak this into existence. Stop it.
Yeah.
We're done talking about this.
Yeah, please.
Don't talk about my Donnie.
Yeah, Donatello, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
I would be done.
Yeah. I mean, the Punisher would be a really great example of that.
Yes.
The Punisher would be a really great example of that. I have
Used
distanced
to be
myself.
one of my favorites.
He used to be one of my favorites too, and I have actively. I'm not saying that I don't like the character the Punisher.
Right, yeah.
No, not
But
at all.
I have removed. I used to have a Punisher wallet. I have
The logo is gone.
I have
logo's not for us.
I have
Yeah.
removed myself from the association with that
Yeah.
because of, and I will vehemently get very passionate and talk at people who do have it about like, hey, I think you don't understand what that character means.
Yeah. What do you know about this logo?
Right. What do you know about Frank Castle?
Oh, I don't know. Just a cool skull. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you specifically.
Well, no, I mean they I think for the large part they know it represents the Punisher. I think they just don't know what the Punisher represents.
Yeah.
And so that's the political moment of this.
I think that's a really good point, though, in what sometimes happens in this same, like, so I think there's a difference between saying fundamentally you have missed the point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has flown right over your head.
Oh, yeah.
Versus you don't know anything about this and I do.
Right.
Like there, and I want to make it clear that like healthy conversation in the direction of I think you missed the
Oh, yeah.
the point
Yeah.
here is a good thing
Right.
to have. I can be a good thing.
Of course.
They need to be willing to accept it as well.
If you can have a
Conversation.
conversation where everybody is actually open ears
Sure.
and open hearts about that, right?
Yeah.
Where maybe somebody has missed the point, or you've missed the point and you need to hear it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that is relevant and real and worth talking about versus like, I like this hobby more than you, and so that's that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I do want to make it clear.
I've been
that-
playing for 15 years.
right.
Yeah.
You know.
And you've been playing for 14 and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm smarter than
Yeah.
you, right? And so but I do think that I do think that there's a difference in those two experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, like, what is the difference in between gatekeeping and protecting something? Like we all just said, right? Like, several of us were Punisher, were overt Punisher fans.
Yes.
That like didn't say like I will never say I'm not a Punisher fan. I will still read Punisher comics. I will still watch whatever next Punisher thing
Yep.
comes out. Like I will, because I know that content is attempting to be true to what that character is. But we definitely ceded territory, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like we let them have that symbol.
Yeah.
Right?
that fight.
And not an us versus them. I don't actually mean to like engage too much of an us versus them, but we have let that symbol be largely co-opted at this stage and to be this like weird like pro-police state symbol. And that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
You know, and like, we're getting into like symbology and like the co-opting of symbols and some of
Yeah,
the
I was like,
You have to read
We're
past
gonna go
the
way
first
too
three
far.
pages, though. Like that's the problem. You have to
Right.
read
You gotta
past the
finish
first
the
three pages.
comic.
Oh, he's a police officer? Shit, that's ours.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait,
Wait a minute.
Please keep going. Please keep going.
Yeah.
please. I'm begging.
I am begging you. Yeah.
But like, so what does that look like? Like, what does protecting it look like that is any fundamentally different from when we look at? I don't have an answer again. Like,
Right.
like what does it look like other than the same things that gatekeepers are doing? And again, but does that just come back down to the intent,
Yeah.
right?
I think so.
I'm engaging in gatekeeping because I've felt this conversation out. I asked you about your cool Punisher sticker on the back of your car, and I've realized it is not a shared passion.
Right, we are
for-
not. We are not right here.
It is not a shared passion
not
for the
here.
complexities of vigilante justice and what it means to enact violence in order, like, and a conversation around that. Like,
Yes.
it is.
You have
like,
different thoughts.
Yeah, you have different thoughts.
Yours
and-
spits on a note card. Yeah.
yeah. And so then then the intent stays the same. Hey, I'd like to share with you what the Punisher is actually about.
Right.
But I'm not sure you're ready to hear that. I'm not sure that this conversation is going to remain safe or cool or honest. So I'm just going to protect it over here.
How good are you with Goo Gone?
Yeah. It's an interesting place that we wound up in there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, certainly to a degree that's exactly what I'm engaging in every time I poke at that and then I realize like, oh shit. But I've also ceded that territory. Like again, I'm not carrying a Punisher wallet that I cared for years.
See, I got to see other Marvel stickers attached to these. If I see Punisher logo, I don't see any other superhero.
Yeah.
Fall back.
Okay.
Fall back.
Now, if I see like a Daredevil, an Elektra in there, okay,
All right.
you get the gist. I feel like you in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just Punisher though, I'm not gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And officially licensed Punisher sticker.
That one's got too many teeth.
Right.
And also the American flag on it.
Yes, that's definitely not it.
I'll be.
That is not.
I'll be
Mark
journaling about
Live
this conversation. I think we've hit some Mind Palace stuff.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Is there? Oh, we had.
I was gonna try to like stop it.
Yeah.
We were doing too good. We were rolling.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, is there any other? There are other news things that I think we're supposed to probably touch on and that are interesting and fun, more so than the co-opting of the Punisher symbol.
Let's switch it up to something else.
Segway key. Segway
Yeah,
key
so two pretty large leaks in the handheld console space, right? Which is a thing, probably the only thing that's going to continue to exist in the future. So my review.
Yes.
But SteamOS, which we were talking about, playing things on the Steam Deck. SteamOS
Gotta find a way.
is going third-party support. So right now, the only way to play, so SteamOS has kind of been a thing for like 10-ish years now, like 2015, 2014, where they were like making what they called the Steam boxes. And it was like, but there was never an official device. It was just people were putting their Valve's version of Linux that they were trying to garner support for, like Linux-based gaming to like break the stranglehold that like they had tied to Microsoft, right? Like we needed you to be on Microsoft in order to use Steam. And so they were like, what if we built a Linux kernel that was like our own operating system that was just designed for gaming? They just kind of like put it out to the wild. A lot of hobbyists, some like Lenovo and people like made Steam boxes, so to speak. And then it just kind of petered out, right? Like there was nothing really that happened in the SteamOS space until Valve. Well, I actually know exactly where I was when they made the announcement because I was in your former apartment fixing a
bathroom. So I could sell that absolute hunk of junk.
Your former townhome. Literally, when I was listening to them make the announcement, which is
sending me pictures, being like, "This doesn't look quite like you wanted it to, but it's gonna be fine."
Sorry, we're gonna have to do a lot more than we said we were going to. In like classic contractor form, like, "Oh, it'll be easy. I'm gonna be here for a week."
The water flows out.
I remember getting that text and just going, I could not care less.
However many years ago that was when they like announced and then very shortly after dropped the Steam.
Like three and a half
years ago. And then they were like, hey, the Steam Deck exists. And it's a proprietary piece of hardware that we've optimized for the Steam OS. And it is handheld computer PC gaming, right? Like it is without Windows. It plays everything that's supposed to be on Windows, which is a really important part. They've built like a Linux-based Windows emulator, which is short selling what it's really doing, that helps Windows native games run on Linux. That was the breakthrough for them. Now the developers don't have to support Linux. They just have to support Windows, and the Steam Deck can run it. And it is very, very, it's very, very optimized for gaming. So we're now in the post Steam Deck launching space where there are these other Windows-based handhelds that support PC gaming or PC gaming streaming that are way more powerful than the Steam Deck, but don't run things as smoothly. And that doesn't make any sense unless you specifically look at the operating system level and go, it's the fact that this was ground built to do one thing, and that is play video games.
Which Lenovo is doing now.
And so now Lenovo is said like, hey, actually our device, our next device is not going to be a Windows-based handheld PC. It's going to be a SteamOS based gaming place. And Valve has said, yeah, we're going to start licensing third parties to do it. And they're going to do what they did with the original Steam OS, which is just kind of like put it out into the wild and go like, I don't know, build your own fucking thing.
Yeah.
And like, I think that we're 6 months away from seeing two things, which is SteamOS running on Switches, Nintendo Switches.
All right.
Via mod.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously not Nintendo supported. Like you will be eliminating your Switch warranty by doing this. And get ready for it. A Half-Life 3 announcement.
Half-Life 3
Half-Life
announcement.
3.
All right.
I think that I don't think it's going to be a SteamOS exclusive.
Okay. Good.
But I do think that it will be an on SteamOS first
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
situation. I think that all of and maybe it's just because of the like, you know, the documentary that just came out and all that sort of stuff, but there were heavily like supported rumors that there was going to be a Half-Life 3 announcement at the Game of the Year Awards. And there was not. And then there is like this trickling leak that's happening effectively that's like, here's what the Half-Life 3 announcement is now that people are talking about. And it's like, it's not, to be very clear, I don't think it's the Half-Life 3 we've been waiting for. I think it's just something completely new that's on that, because I think if you watch that documentary, they're like, you know, what's the point in just releasing something to release something? And I think that's always been Valve's stance. That there has to be, and Half-Life needs a technological justification to move forward. Half-Life 2 needed one, and going episodic, and like Half-Life 2's justification was changing the way AI in games worked, and there's all sorts of incredible advancements that happened alongside of that. I think there's something brewing that we're not all aware of yet that is probably tied to this. We're going to get SteamOS on as many things as we can.
Right.
Probably tied to the loose leaks of the Steam Deck controller coming back, or I mean the Steam controller coming back. That is like, and also SteamOS is going to be able to do this, and Half-Life 3 is going to be the first game that can do it. That's my predictions in that
Tinfoil.
case. Yeah, that's my tinfoil.
So in 6 months, when Cruz is right.
No. This is one step away from me in a corner overthrowing the government by myself. Just to be very clear, I am aware.
Taking arm measurements.
Yeah.
For your jacket.
For my tinfoil jacket. But I do think that this is the most credible. Sure. And everybody that knows me knows that like I glom onto the first Valve announcement that there can be, and I'm like, this could be the year. This is
It's credible. And let me tell you why.
Well, I think all of those years my stance has always been for, I'm hopeful that this could be the year. This makes sense, right? Like, and I think the closest I felt to that was them deeply getting into first party support for the VR space, and then we got Alex, which I like to argue with people is actually Half-Life 3, because it really is. It's a full game, and it is amazing in that space. If you have access to somebody who has a VR headset and a gaming PC, because it won't work on PSVR, but a gaming PC that supports VR, absolutely play Half-Life Alex. It is the best that VR has to offer as an experience, holistically. But that goes into the space of, and the Switch and all that sort of stuff, the Switch 2.
Switch 2.
Looks like we got some pretty...
A little more than a trickle, I think,
I would say some
Switch 2 data.
pretty damning things.
Yeah.
Well,
From the full, what was that, CES, the little model Genki had.
yeah, Genki. They were just showing their accessories, but they, somehow,
Somehow, rumor.
with the bodies and the 3D printed and whatever, and the models that they had, basically showing it off. But But then Nintendo, of course, didn't condemn any of that. They were just, they're like, this is not official. This is not official or whatever.
Right,
but,
right.
Which is
Yeah.
like, okay.
yeah.
It's not like.
They're not saying it's not it. They're
Yeah.
just
Well,
saying
I'm not
that it's
saying
not.
that's not. I'm not saying that's what it isn't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
My biggest worry on this, I mean, because they're saying that maybe this week we might get some kind of an announcement.
Yeah. The 16th.
The
I saw
16th,
it,
yeah. But I mean, that's fluid as well. So Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, whatever. So.
All I know is if it's 1080p again with an HDMI cable.
It can't be.
I'm gonna do something. No, I mean, of course, it's gonna have to be, it's gotta be 4K, right?
It'll be 1080p.
It's definitely gonna be 10.
It's going to be
1080p OLED, yeah.
But it's going to be a 1080p OLED on the device. It's going to be
DLSS.
1080p.
It's gonna be okay.
And it's going to support upresing.
Yeah, it'll have upscale.
It'll have upscale. Your TV upscales.
Yeah.
Come on, it's Nintendo. But it's going to be backwards compatible.
It's backwards compatible.
It's going to be backwards compatible.
Not backwards accessories, but backwards stuff. But it is
fine.
my biggest worry though is
I'm
going to
gonna
be
buy it. I don't know why I'm sitting here
what
acting like I'm gonna like do something.
is
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy it.
the price point?
Yeah, well,
That's what
What's it
I'm
gonna
nervous.
cost?
I mean, inflation and all that jazz. I mean, Switch has always been that affordable unit where it's like,
Right.
okay, well, it's
I don't
pricey,
think
but
they'll,
it's not like
I don't think they'll jump out the window.
I don't know, dude.
Well-
I mean, it's gonna be like twice the power, and they still sell it with a dock.
Yeah.
And like all that kind of stuff. So they have all of this extra stuff that like the Steam Deck doesn't have. Like those docks are $70-$80.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Separate. So they have the dock, they have the new unit and all that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, if this thing is like tickling that $500 mark,
No.
that's what I don't think so.
It-
but like I still don't see it not being 400. Like
I think it'll be the price
No.
of a Switch OLED.
okay.
You think?
Yeah, I think it'll
see.
be the price of a Switch OLED.
Those are $299.
Those are
350.
330,
3 something.
330, I think.
$329.99.
I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
might
today.
I think that,
Yeah. Okay.
You do that one more time.
Yeah. No. 29.
I think it's. I think you're looking at the 350 range.
Yeah, I think-
300
I
to
think so.
350 range. Important point on Nintendo: they've never sold a console at a loss.
It's true.
Fair.
I believe that's true. They've never sold a console at a loss.
I think that's true.
They don't believe in it. A lot of other console makers will sell a console at a loss leader to sell you games for
Right,
that
yeah.
console, right? Nintendo's never engaged in that. But they also are notorious for not ever putting their consoles on sale.
Right.
Right.
Right? But if you think about how much it cost them to build a Switch in 2016, don't murder me, 2016.
That sounds
Should be 9
2016
years.
or 20.
It's 9 years.
Okay, so 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they cost them to build a Switch and be slightly profitable in 2016, there's no version of those components that are even remotely that expensive for them. And they've maintained selling it at that price, right?
Right.
So it's not a matter of like, oh, well, the Switch costs this much for them to make, and it's X amount of dollars.
Right.
So if this one's got to be twice as much.
Sure.
I think it's just the Switch probably cost them 4 cents to make at this
Yeah.
point. Not really, but like if the Switch probably cost them $50 in parts and like the everything that they've made.
Right.
The Switch OLED's probably $150 in parts, and there's just that much margin in it.
Yeah.
And so this next one will hit that price point, that $350 price point, and then it'll just be like, but we're only making $10 a unit.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever.
We're not
Whoever-
losing money.
They're not
losing.
losing money,
Right.
right? The second question is do they give a shit about it being like how I do not think, just to be very clear, that it will be that much better
Oh, yeah.
than
I agree.
than a Switch.
Because it's like they've done this before. Remember the Wii U? Was it any much more better than the regular Wii?
Well, yeah, I mean the
the
Wii
U. Yeah. Well.
The Wii U there was a lot of advancements in the Wii U.
Between that and the Wii, the original, like the regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean
could play Breath of the Wild on a Wii U.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was also really expensive for their price point for that was pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
their most
I do remember
expensive whatever. But they said that it was a mistake going that high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that was them kind of dipping their toes into the chasing the graphics capabilities and also trying to do something unique and I mean, Mario Maker on the Wii U justifies the entirety of the existence of the Wii U, just to be very clear.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games that everybody loves on the Switch are actually just re-releases of Wii U games. Just to be very clear, that console has a great catalog.
Yeah.
That I didn't sleep on. I purchased, but I didn't play a lot of them on the Wii U because it was difficult to interface with. It wasn't a great execution of all of the brilliant ideas that it had.
Yeah.
But all that being said, I suspect that the Switch 2 will be as safe as possible in every single way. And I think it will mostly read as a quality of life improvement over the Switch. I would say, first and foremost, a lot of the people in charge, and this could be factually incorrect, and we'll probably need to start fact checking ourselves in the next episode.
Yeah.
I said this. I meant that.
I think I'm spitballing. I'm going to fuck off.
Let's just be wrong.
I think a huge portion they collapsed console and handheld at Nintendo went before the Switch came out, and there's not a console division and a handheld division. And I think a huge portion of the leadership in charge of what they make now is the handheld division, and so this is technically the first console generation or gaming device generation of this new department. So I would expect more of what we saw in the handheld iterations than what we saw out of the console space for Nintendo. That's my expectation that I'm going into this with. Think Game Boy to Game Boy Color.
Gotcha.
It's smaller, the battery life is, and it's in color now.
Right.
Right?
Makes sense.
And
I love my Game Boy Color.
I love my Game Boy Color, right? It's definitively what most people have glommed onto as their Game Boy experience.
I was an SP boy.
You know? Well, yes. I was.
I'm 25.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. But in the Game Boy Advance versus the SP, right? It's the same.
Yep. It's the same thing.
Same thing, right? But did you like the clamshell versus, But the screen is immensely better on the SP than it was on the original, Game Boy Advance was still you practically needed the plug-in light thing to
the plug-in.
The twisty wire with
They
the.
made them for it.
Did they?
Yes.
Yeah, they did
okay.
make
They still made a light for. I had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not need it. Collected dust.
Yeah. For the SP, you didn't.
No, for the SP,
finally,
no.
the screens were bright enough, and and now that's what's in the modded Game Boy space and Game Boy Color space is all those higher vibrant and better screens. I would set expectations there. I would set expectations with this is going to have a cartridge slot that plays Switch games, and it's going to have a cartridge slot that plays Switch 2 games, and it's backwards compatible with that. The OS is backwards compatible with all the stuff that you had downloaded. You're going to be able to import it over. It's going to run Scarlet and Violet without any hitching and tearing and all that sort of stuff. All these games are going to run better on this, and you are going to need a Switch 2 to play Switch 2 games, right? You couldn't put a Game Boy Color game into a Game Boy. But that's the iterations that we're talking about, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then the next one, you're going to be able to put a Switch 2 into it, and a Switch 3, or Super Switch, or Switch Advance,
Switch DS3 XL!
whatever they talk. And I think we will start to see them experiment in those spaces.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna be this one. I mean, Nintendo is still a publicly traded company, and as much as they operate in an ideal state where they're not holistically evil, immediate profit now for damn long-term longevity as a company, right? Nintendo gave all of their executive staff took cuts to keep everybody employed through through economic downturns and all that sort of stuff. they're still a publicly traded company,
Right, yeah.
and they're up against the absolute impossible, which is everybody got locked into their homes in 2020, and Animal Crossing came out.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Right?
come
Like-
on.
like-
Yeah. How can you top that? Yeah.
They're like, that's what the Switch do. Nothing in all like. Unless Nintendo also gets into engineering global pandemics
I was
for the,
just gonna
sale,
say, yeah,
for the sale of their consoles in order
Yes.
to keep those numbers up, which I don't suspect that they will
Listen,
be
all I'm
doing.
Please
saying
don't.
is,
No Nintendo flu.
something happened again,
Yeah,
and the Switch 2 drops.
yeah.
I'm looking for you.
I'm looking for Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah, because I gave them the idea.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
They're
think
scrambling at this moment.
I think that's where we are expectation-wise. I think
you're right.
I think they have probably spent an enormous amount of time in boardrooms and with shareholders going, it won't be as good. Like it's just not. It's not gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where their expectations are. I think that's where our expectations are. I don't mean that it won't be. It'll be a step back from the Switch.
No.
Just don't expect it to change gaming in the way that the Switch did.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't expect it to change the way you game in the way the Switch did. Expect it to be a better Switch that
But
you
it could
enjoy
have a
having.
mouse.
Right. It won't. They did that once. and once. Yeah.
Well, I guess my question is, with that being said, with the Switch and the Steam OS situation, let's say 6 months from now, Switch 2 drops. Price point, let's say $399.
Yeah.
The advances in the Steam OS have also dropped. Handheld Steam OS $450.
Sure.
Which one you buy? Steam. Or I guess
Which one
as
am I
a person,
telling people to buy?
Yeah.
Depends who it is, man.
It depends on who it is. I will say this. My caveat will be, do you want to play Nintendo exclusive games? If
Yes.
the answer is no, right? If the answer is no, universally, my recommendation is going to be that people buy a Steam,
Absolutely.
a Steam OS or Steam Deck. And if their answer is yes, my follow-up question is going to be, how good are you in tinkering?
Right. Yeah.
Because I am positive that whatever the new Steam, not to say that this is a supported
Right,
thing,
of course.
and
Would never do such a thing ourselves.
And I'm not suggesting that people pirate video games. Truly don't, because like it actually impacts people's livelihood.
Yes.
Yes.
But
But if you own the games already,
if you own the games already and you're looking for a better way to play them, that will probably continue to exist on Steam OS, and I think it will probably continue to exist for the Switch too.
Yeah.
And whatever they put out there. And there are going to be more iteration in that space, faster. There'll be a wider range of products.
not to mention the Steam Decks are also more moddable and stuff like that. You can expand
Yeah.
hard drive space and all that kind of
If
stuff.
you
So.
gotta buy one, it's gonna be a Steam OS running device. Like, I mean, if you're looking for a single thing that you can do basically everything other than play PlayStation games on when they come out,
Right.
and you will be able to play the PlayStation games on them
Eventually.
In a year.
in a year. You know, like that's going to be my recommendation. If you're not tinkery and you gotta play the Nintendo exclusive when they come out,
and you have kids.
it needs.
I am children.
Is me.
It's gonna be a Switch 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you've got to only have two, it's definitely those two.
Those two. Yeah.
Like if you can swing,
They're the only two that exist.
if you can swing, that's like, I mean, universally, my recommendation
everything.
is like that's what people should buy.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
When did Breath of the Wild 2 come out? Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom came out in 2023.
Yeah, so I'm not buying the Switch 2 for at least like 6-7 more years until whatever the third one is.
Okay.
For
So
That's
you're
not
solely playing this for the Zelda games.
it's
No,
so
like
good.
they're not doing that anymore.
What?
They're the developers of the Zelda team.
Yeah.
Has said you can forget about Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild format.
They are sick, fucked up people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is not the direction we're taking Zelda games anymore.
Yes.
That's
whole way.
you've had your two wonderful experiences and you are done with.
Go back and play them.
I'm disgusted.
They are leaning
Top down!
They are leaning into the this is a total anecdotal thing, sorry.
Sure.
But they're leaning into like the new Echoes of Wisdom experiences, and that overall play style of Zelda is really what they are gravitating more towards for the production of Zelda games indefinitely.
Interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, I will say.
I heard them like I listened. I read a few articles about that.
Yeah. I will say that's par for the course. Like, like, look back at the history of Zelda, and it is a franchise and a idea of concepts that will be in a game, and they universally do not play the same.
Right.
Like, and there you get about two to
that's
three
true.
of them that play away, and then you move on to something new. And every time I'm like, man, well, they're not going to do better than, they're not going to do better than Ocarina of Time.
Right.
They're like, well, what about
they
Majora's Mask? And everybody's like, well, that's not quite as good. And then you go back and play it, like, actually, it's just really good. And it was pretty awesome. And then they're like, all right, well, we're going to do something new. We're going to do something new now. And it's like, and you get a Wind Waker, and you get,
Nice,
I mean, so like, and those games are fundamentally different. They work and play differently, and each time I play a Zelda game, I get to the end of it and I feel sad that it is over.
Yeah.
And I think every Zelda from here on forward better be just like this,
Right.
or I'm fucking.
I want to feel. I need to feel.
in the streets.
And
And then
I admit that I'm wrong.
yeah.
And then I admit they're wrong. I'm not going to change.
I will not change.
I grow in many ways, but I'm not going to learn this lesson.
I'll try to learn the lesson.
What I'm saying is, don't hold your breath.
Of the wild.
For another breath of the wild. Yeah, but,
To be fair, you're 25.
Yeah,
but also that.
There'll be
You got time to learn
There'll be
lessons and
tears in my
stuff,
kingdom.
they will. Yeah, there will be.
I would just say those two because I've gone back. I played the Ocarina of Times.
Yeah,
I played the Majora's Masks.
yeah.
I played Wind Waker too. Those two, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, undeniably my favorites.
Oh, sure.
Those spoke
Sure.
to you, yeah?
And they should be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just to be very clear, I think Ocarina of Time was, I think...
For its time.
For its time. Well, and I think it might have been one of the first games that, was it IGN, ever gave a 10. These were back in the days when, like, they were very, very, very short. Like, 10 means that the game is perfect, you're never going to score a 10. Then Ocarina of Time came out, and they're like, well, fuck, there's a 10.
There's a 10.
Here's a 10.
Yeah, and so, and I think it was IGN. Yeah, I might be wrong about that.
Fact check on next episode.
Maybe it was Game Informer. Not sure. But yeah, I would never ever say to somebody like, "Oh yeah, well you should play Ocarina. You liked Breath of the Wild, you should play Ocarina of Time."
Do you think that's a game?
Like, we've learned so much about the way
that's
games
good?
control. We've learned so much about like what is and isn't fun, and how
Right,
what's
yeah.
respectful of your time, and how puzzles work, and all sorts of stuff that like the water temple is horse shit in that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there is,
It's
it is,
god-awful.
it is trial and error until you want to hit yourself in the face, and then all of a sudden it's beat, and you're like, I don't fucking know. I don't know how.
Everyone's
I
like, how'd you do that?
I could do a whole episode by
Never doing it again.
myself about Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And
episode.
it wouldn't be nice.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
So, but not because I didn't love the game.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Anyway.
but I think that should be the case. I think that wherever you enter into Zelda as a franchise, going backward. Frankly, I'll say this for any video game franchise: wherever you enter into it, going backwards
forward.
should feel worse.
Worse. It should feel bad.
It should feel worse because that means that they didn't. That means that they didn't get better.
Right.
It means they didn't get better. And that doesn't mean that you should look at it and go like, well, this game is objectively bad and I hate it.
Right.
But you should go with it in the mindset, the context of time that like this should actually be worse than the previous one. That's why things like Overwatch 2 feel bad for people, and they should feel bad for people. right?
It's not getting better.
Because it didn't. Why? Why
Why
did
did you
you?
do it?
Why did you make me do this? Right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
I loved this other thing, and you've now moved me to a new thing, and it's not. It's not.
It's the new.
It's not
That
better.
new
It's
dog.
new because it's
Man, I got
new.
that new.
And so, yeah. This is it's. I think that's going to happen. You know, I think that. I think that that's okay. And I think it's okay to be cautiously optimistic about going like, well, I loved this thing, and you're telling me that the new thing's going to be completely different.
Right.
And you may get to that point and go, this one's not for me, and that's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
I think they should go for a third one, though. Rule of 3 for comedy.
Rule 3 for guys. Yeah.
This one's not for me, guys. That's the takeaway of this whole thing. Prismatic evolutions.
No, actually,
no. It's
I think that's the title. This one's not for me. This one's not for me.
Yeah.
Actually, people might not watch. They
Yeah,
might-
people-
this
right,
one's
right.
not for me.
Yeah. This
right.
one's
Put,
I mean,
put something in quotes.
This episode is for you, but the
theme.
theme is not for you.
He's breaking.
Oh, shit.
Oh wait.
It's not working.
Panic! But all right, I think
Yeah.
touched all the points.
I think we did.
so.
There was
I think
lots of
so.
point
I think-
touching.
We did get on a really long tangent there.
I don't remember what it was about.
It was in the cozy gaming space.
Oh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay.
Well, that's because we went deep.
We got a little too deep.
Yep.
Yeah,
SydeCast after dark deep.
that's okay.
It's all right.
I mean, if I'm walking away with thoughts and questions for myself,
Yeah. I mean, what about you?
what about you? Tell us down in the comments below.
Yeah. This is what we're supposed to do. That we're supposed to like and
No.
subscribe, and then the thing, and then there's a video over here, and then
It feels
If you do a
unnatural.
dance.
Well, you're either gonna watch another one or you're not.
yeah.
Well, that's why I gave him the comedic Selly voice, because I'm not serious.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe.
Well, everyone, I've been your host, Tremaine, the Pope, Decan. What did I say? I said Decan Liangelo Televangelist. This has been SydeCast. Everyone say goodbye. I would assume.
All right.
Who wrote this?
I really do need to sit down. Like, give me something loose.